Hello, I'm Molly Roth, and I'm a curriculum specialist in CEI's Professional Learning Program. I'm going to teach a differentiated, arts-integrated visual art project that directly teaches English language arts. By engaging students in arts-based projects, students are engaged, creative, inspired, and actually learn academic content while strengthening their social and emotional learning skills. This project teaches English language arts and is called the Elephant Sculpture Project. The project addresses a wide variety of visual art skills such as brushing glue onto a surface, placing tissue paper on the glue, and creating texture with tissue paper. They'll be twisting pipe cleaners and using air-dry clay and assembling their sculptures. ELA skills will feature learning new vocabulary relating to elephants and their attributes, using the new vocabulary to identify parts of the elephant, and depending on the learner, writing sentences about the elephants. Students will identify, read, and write about the attributes and feelings of elephants using books, images, and videos. And finally, SEL skills such as self-awareness, self-confidence, self-reflection, self-regulation, and following directions will also be part of this project. Each day, they'll learn about a specific attribute of the elephant that corresponds to the part of the sculpture that they'll be creating. This whimsical elephant sculpture is creatively crafted using a cardboard box as a body, offering stability and a handle for easy interaction. The box's surface is textured to mimic the wrinkled skin of the elephant using tissue paper attached with a mixture of glue and water. The ears are adjustable, made with wax sticks sandwiched between two folded coffee filters and textured with glue and water, giving them a playful, floppy quality. These ears are attached to a paper bowl covered in air foam clay, which serves as the elephant's face. Expressive eyes are created using ping pong balls and dot stickers, adding character to the sculpture. For feet, cardboard seed starter pots provide a natural and organic touch and connect to the body with pipe cleaners, giving them a playful sway. The tail at the back is made from a foam cone covered with air-dry clay, serving as both a counterweight and a swaying element. A flexible and posable tube is used for the trunk, offering versatility in poses and positions. It also aids in stabilizing the sculpture when it's displayed on its own. This unique combination of materials and techniques creates a captivating and interactive elephant sculpture. This project is designed for a kindergarten through second grade class of students with disabilities who perform at various learning levels. We have created multiple versions of this project, and I will begin with an overview of these K-2 differentiated versions. Then I will discuss the curricular resources, and finally I will model the actual teaching to all K-2 learners. Here's the project version for our early learners who may be nonverbal, may require hand-over-hand assistance, read with pictures, and cannot generate ideas or may require repetition and pacing. Here's a project version for our intermediate learners who are able to use their preferred method of communication, reads with photos and pictures, and possibly identifies a limited number of basic sight words, can identify basic details of a story based on its pictures with verbal or physical prompts, or need choices for ideas. This is the project version for our advancing learners who read with pictures and possibly identifies a limited number of basic sight words, can respond independently to a story or instruction without verbal or physical prompts, and can generate their own ideas or has sight words. Students in grade K will present their elephant sculptures using short phrases or full sentences to identify elephants and their attributes. For students in grade 1, they will present their elephant sculptures using full sentences to identify elephants and their attributes, using specific words that express feelings and senses. And finally, students in grade 2 will present their elephant sculptures using full sentences to identify elephants and their attributes, using language according to context and using specific words that express feelings and senses. A resource guide will be provided with a breakdown of the standardized kindergarten, first grade, and second grade versions. And for curricular resources, this project will include 6 differentiated versions of curriculum maps, lesson plans, and implementation slide decks. Each day's lesson will contain opening activities. During the opening activities, students view artwork that feature elephants. They will respond to questions about what they see and listen to others. Students will develop an understanding of different types of artworks and enhance their observation skills by using art vocabulary to complete descriptive exercises. They will also learn vocabulary related to the elephant and its body parts and function. And for the academic mini-lessons, students will learn about an elephant and its body parts and function. They will identify vocabulary words by examining images featuring elephants. Hear about elephants in the book Elephants by Avery Hurt. and use words, phrases, or sentences, depending on the level, and write new vocabulary on their presentation cards that address each body part and function. Each day of the lesson features a different elephant, attribute, and accompanying text. Each day will contain an art-making session, where students will create their elephant sculpture one step at a time. And at the end of each day's lesson, students will participate in closing activities, where they will discuss the body part of the elephant that was addressed each day, present their work, and comment on each other's work. The students will review new vocabulary and reflect on their work by responding to an image of an elephant. To challenge each student at their ELA level throughout the project, teachers can choose curriculum versions that suit their students' need. By combining multiple slide decks, teachers can address varying learning levels at each step of the project. Below is an example of 3 slide decks differentiating a project step for grade 2 students performing at different ELA levels. And on the next slide, you will see them combined into one slide. And now I will demonstrate the teaching of this project as if I were teaching it to a class of K-2 learners with multiple levels. For the first day of our elephant sculpture project, we'll begin by looking at artwork about elephants. Some of our learners may benefit from looking at a real photograph of an elephant next to the artwork of an elephant, while others might enjoy learning that Andy Warhol looked at a photograph of a real elephant to help him make his artwork. For the academic mini-lessons for day 1, we'll learn about the elephant's head. Some students will benefit from identifying where the head is located on the photograph of an elephant, and some students will complete descriptive sentences by choosing from word choices. I am so excited to begin the elephant sculpture project with you. And we're going to start by making the elephant's head, using some things that you may have seen before. Can anybody tell me what this is? This paper bowl is the perfect shape for an elephant's head. We're also going to use a cardboard square and 2 pipe cleaners. We're going to put them all together to make the shape of an elephant's head. Can anybody guess what part of the elephant this is going to be? It'll be the elephant's ears. Okay, let's get started on this first step. Some of you may be using what's called a template to mark the place where we're going to need to have holes. These little dots will tell us exactly where we need to make the holes. And we're going to use this hole punch to squeeze and make a hole. This step can also be done ahead of time because those hole punches can be a little bit difficult to squeeze. Or maybe you can have some help squeezing that hole punch. There's a few different ways that we can do a lot of these steps, and I'll explain how we can do each of those. We're also going to punch holes into the side of the bowl. And just like we did with our cardboard square, we could use a template to mark the places where we need to make the holes. These might be marked ahead of time, and you can work together to punch the holes in the side of the bowl. Maybe you can hold the bowl, and somebody else with strong hands can squeeze it for you and work together. Or you might start out with a bowl that was already ready to go. So now we can line up the hole from the bowl to the cardboard square. We're going to use a pipe cleaner and put it through all the way down, and then through the hole in the cardboard square. We can keep this from moving around by twisting it. Someone could hold it for you while you twist it. So So this side is now attached. And we're going to do the same thing to the other side. If you have a little bit of trouble getting this through the hole, maybe you could hold it for somebody. And they could put it in. And maybe you can hold the bowl for them while they twist it. So now we have the pipe cleaters and both sides, so this bowl stays on the cardboard square. Let's look at the finished product and see what's different. We need to twist these ends together. It might help if somebody holds it like this for you and you spin it around. Or hold it in your fingers like this and twist it yourself. And just like that, we have the shape of an elephant's head. The next step is very exciting. We are going to cover this with clay. You might remember that elephants love to splash water and mud on their face to keep cool. This is going to look like an elephant is trying to keep cool. And now we're going to use this clay to cover what will be the face of our elephant. We can roll a little bit in our hands and place it where we want it, and then smash it down so it starts to cover the paper bowl. Now, if this clay is something that feels not so great on your hands, we do have something that you can do so you don't have to touch the clay. Someone can roll out the shapes for you to use, and you can tell them where you'd like for the clay to go. They can place it, and you can use a spatula to smash that clay down so it covers the bowl. So you can choose how much clay you want to put on your paper bowl. If a little bit is showing, that's fine. You could also cover the whole paper bowl with the clay. And if you have any extra, that can go back in the bag because we're going to be using it for another day. And the next day, we're going to add eyes and a trunk. And this tube. You may have seen these before in your classrooms. They're fun to stretch and twist and bend. What do you think we're going to use this for the elephant? I think it would make the perfect nose. And for the elephant eyes, we're going to use stickers. Make sure the paper that the stickers were on go in the trash can. We're also going to use the same clay that we used to cover the paper bowl for our elephant head. When this dries, it's almost like glue. It'll keep the eyes on your elephant sculpture. So we can begin by taking a small piece and placing it where we want our first eye to go. Someone might help you out by rolling this into a ball and placing it in place. And then the two of you can put those eyes together. We can continue to add a little bit more clay around these eyes We don't want to cover them up completely. And again, if you don't like the feeling of the clay, you can use the spatula. After somebody places the clay in place, you can smooth it out. And now it's time to add the nose to our elephant sculpture. Does anybody remember the special kind of nose an elephant has? That's right, it's called a trunk. Now we are going to... Now to make the trunk of our nose, So now it's time to make the nose for our elephant sculpture. Does anybody remember the special kind of a nose an elephant has? It's called a trunk. And we're going to use a plastic tube that bends and stretches just like an elephant's trunk and a little piece of clay. Go ahead and roll out some of that clay and then put that on one end of the plastic tube and then attach it to your elephant sculpture. You want to make sure that this dries really well before you try to move the trunk. So after you have it attached to the face, we'll put it away so it can dry completely. And for the closing activity, we can share what we did for the day. For day 3, we're going to learn about the elephant's ears. So for our opening activity, you can try to locate the ears in the elephant art. Or you may want to share how you feel when you look at elephant art. For academic community lessons, when we learn about the elephant ears, some of you may try to locate the elephant's ears in the photo. Or we can look at the bigger, and biggest ears of elephants. And some of you may even complete the descriptions by using your writing. And now it's time to make the ears for our elephant sculpture. We're going to be using these. These are called coffee filters. Some people actually put these in a coffee pot and make coffee with them, but we're going to use them to make our elephant ears. Before we get started, I want to get our area ready. We're going to use wax paper to cover our surface. This will keep our area clean, and also the shiny side of the wax paper is really good in helping when you have something that is wet with glue. So we want to make sure that when we look and feel that the shiny side of the wax paper is facing up. We can go ahead and tape these pieces of wax paper to our table. And now I want to show you a few different ways you can make the front of the ear for your elephant sculpture. We're going to start off one at a time with one coffee filter and 4 of these flexible wax sticks. We're going to fold our coffee filters in half and open it back up. You can take one of these sticks and shape it into the letter E, which is the first letter of elephant and also the first letter of ear. We're going to go ahead and put this on one side. I'm going to take another, make a curve, and put that around that E shape. So, and then our other 2, I'll make another curve and put one on the top, and then one on the bottom. Just like that. And now I'm going to take a mixture of glue and water and use a brush to put some glue over these wax sticks and then fold this over. Here's one way to make an elephant ear out of a coffee filter and wax sticks. If you're following this step, you would do this one more time so you'd have an ear for the front of the other side. You could also use 2 wax sticks. Fold it in half. Make the letter E. Place it inside. And take one and curve it around. Brush a little bit of that glue over top. And then fold this over. And again, if you're doing this step, there you go. And here's another way you can make the ear. Maybe somebody makes that wax E shape for you and you place it in place. And then you can take your brush and make a dot of glue around the edges and in the middle and fold it over. Here's another way. We could also make the ears without using the wax sticks. This is also the step for the back of the ear. Fold it over and add a little bit of glue in the middle on one side and fold it over. It's okay if your fold isn't perfect. When you look at elephants' ears, they're not perfect either. So if you have a little bit of an overlap or anything like that, that's perfectly fine. When we put our elephant ears on our elephant sculpture, I'll also show you a step that doesn't use glue at all. We can use a little bit of the air dry clay to attach the ear pieces to our elephant sculpture. So roll it up in a little ball. Place the back of the ear behind one of the pipe cleaners. Place the air dry clay in between the pipe cleaners. And then take the front of your ear. Press it together. And now you have the ears for your elephant sculpture. And for the closing activity, we can share what we did for the day. We can begin day 4 by looking at a painted sculpture of an elephant that an artist made. We can get a better understanding of how this sculpture looks just like an elephant by looking at it next to a picture of a real elephant. Build our vocabulary by comparing the elephant to one or more animals. And now we're going to make the body of an elephant using a box that we're going to cover with tissue paper to make the wrinkly skin of the elephant. We're going to be using a glue and water mixture, a box, a square of cardboard, a rectangle of cardboard, and some tape. Because it's going to be the body of our elephant, where we're going to attach the head and make legs and a tail, we want to make sure that this is extra strong. So we're going to glue a cardboard rectangle inside of the box. So some of you may brush a layer of glue on the bottom of the box and then place your cardboard rectangle inside. Now to make it extra strong, we can brush another layer of glue over top of that cardboard rectangle. Now we can close the box by first folding down the edges to the handle. See, I'm folding them to the inside. Then I'm going to carefully put one side through and flatten them back, and then the other side and flatten them back. Finally, we'll take some tape and tape this edge. Some more tape on the other side, and then a little bit of tape in the middle. So some of you may receive a box that is already opened up and ready for you to glue your cardboard rectangle inside. You might be able to close the box yourself, or you might need some help. Some of you might receive a box that already has a cardboard square glued inside of it, and it's all put together, and you can fold the flaps back on both sides and put tape on the edges. And some of you might receive a box that's already prepared ahead of time with a cardboard rectangle glued inside the bottom, folded together with tape on all the edges and on top of the handle. It may be possible that supplies can be prepared a day ahead of time with the cardboard square already glued onto the box, and then you can use your rectangle and glue inside. You might even start off with a box that is completely prepared ahead of time. Having the cardboard square glued onto the box ahead of time will make it easier to apply the tissue paper onto the three sides, because it will be able to stay in place and you won't necessarily have to touch the sides of the wet glue. And now it's time to add our tissue paper to the outside of this box to make the wrinkly texture of the elephant's skin. We want to make sure that we have our wax paper with the shiny side up taped to the table to keep our area clean, and also to keep our box from sticking to our table once the glue dries. So we're going to place this here and grab our glue and water mixture and our tissue paper, and we're going to wrinkle the tissue paper so it looks like the wrinkly skin of an elephant. I'm going to take a little bit of water and glue mixture and brush some on my box, and then place that tissue paper on top. And then I'm going to brush another layer of glue over top of the tissue paper. It can be a little messy, but that's also kind of fun. It's okay if it squishes and flattens down. It's going to make the folds and wrinkles look like the elephant's skin. You can also do this by brushing a little bit of glue on the side and placing the tissue paper on the top. We're going to continue to add tissue paper to our box, but we're going to leave one side without tissue paper and keep the bottom without tissue paper. You can use tape. And then someone can help you brush the glue over the top. Or you can take turns where you use the tape. And someone brushes the glue over top. We're going to use a cardboard square and brush some glue on top. And then place our box on top of the glue and let it dry onto the cardboard square. This is how we're going to attach the head of our elephant sculpture to the body of the elephant sculpture when it's time to put all the pieces together. But for now, we're going to let this dry and clean up. And for the closing activity, we can share what we did for the day. Day 5, we'll be learning about the elephant's legs and tail, so we can look at artwork and identify where we can find the legs and the tail on the elephant sculpture. We can use descriptive words to describe what it looks like the elephant sculpture is doing. We can practice recognizing how the elephant we are learning about is spelled by picking from a few different choices. And now we're going to make the tail for our elephant sculpture using a pipe cleaner, a styrofoam cone, some air dry clay, and 2 pieces of tape. We're going to tape the pipe cleaner to the styrofoam cone and then use the air dry clay to cover the styrofoam cone. And it's okay if you can see a little bit of that cone underneath. After we put enough of our air dry clay on our cone, we're going to set it aside and let it dry for another day. Now the wrinkly skin of our elephant's body and the cardboard square have had enough time to dry. We're going to get the elephant's body ready to attach the feet by attaching the legs on the bottom. We're going to use pipe cleaners for the legs, and to attach them, we're going to use some tape, the glue and water mixture, and another piece of the cardboard rectangle. It might be helpful if someone has drawn a line on the bottom of your box so you know where to put your pipe cleaners. I'm going to get my tape ready. If I place this on the wax paper without pressing it down, it makes it easier for you to use. We're going to need 4 pieces to put on the bottom with our pipe cleaner. So I'm going to make sure that the same amount of pipe cleaner is on either side and then tape that in place. And do the same thing with our other pipe cleaner. So we want to make sure that these are strong enough to hold the feet when we attach them on another day. So we're going to take our glue and water mixture and brush a layer all over the bottom. And then take that cardboard square and place it on top. If you need to, you can add a little bit of tape to make sure that this dries in place. You can brush another layer of glue over the top to make sure that it is extra strong. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and set that like that, so that will have enough time to dry for another day. And for the closing activity, we can share what we did for the day. For day 6, we can look at artwork and find colors by matching what you see. Some of you can look and tell us what colors you know. For the academic mini lesson, we can use a photograph to identify the parts of the elephant that we're working on today. Or some of you can choose from options to complete a sentence. Now that the legs have had plenty of time to dry and are really strong, we're going to attach the feet. We're going to use these little cups, and we're each going to need 8. We'll use 2 for each of our feet. I'm going to show you how to make the first one by taking the leg of your elephant sculpture and putting it through the hole. And then taking a piece of tape and taping that inside and taping the pipe cleaner to the inside of the cup. We're going to do that for all 4 legs. Now, some of you may start with this step, where someone has helped you tape the inside of your pipe cleaners into these bowls, and then you will attach the bottom to make sure that they stay put. We're going to put a little bit of the air dry clay on top of these cups, and then we're going to press them inside to make nice big feet of the elephant. So once again, we roll our air dry clay into a ball. You can use the spatula. And if you have any extra, we can put it back in our bag. And now we take the cup with the air dry clay and press it inside. See how and now we have the feet attached to our elephant sculpture. Today we can also put the tail onto our elephant sculpture. And now it's time to attach the head of our elephant sculpture to the body. And we're going to use the glue and water mixture and then help keep it together with paper clips. Go ahead and paint a little bit of that glue and water mixture onto this cardboard square. You can put a little bit of glue on the back of the square on the elephant head. And then put them together. And then use the paper clips to hold the pieces together. So once this is dry, you can take the paper clips off, but this is going to help keep it in place. And now we can attach the tail. And now it's time to attach the tail to the elephant sculpture. Now you might have a tail where the cone is completely covered with clay. You might have a tail where you can still see a little bit of that cone. And you might have a tail that you didn't put any clay on at all. And all these are perfectly fine. And we're going to use a little bit of tape and some glue and water mixture to make sure this stays on our elephant sculpture. First, We'll take a piece of tape and tape it to the back of our elephant. One more piece of tape. And then to make sure that this stays on, we're going to brush a layer of glue over top of that tape. The glue is going to help to make sure that that stays on. And for the closing activity, we can share what we did for the day. And for our final day, we can begin by looking at some more elephant artwork. For the academic mini lesson, we can review what we've learned about elephants. We can also review how we made our elephant sculpture. And there you have it, your very own elephant sculpture. And now it's time to present this work to your classmates and your teachers. You can tell them all about the special way that you use the glue to make the ears, and then talk about what the elephant uses its ears for, how they can sway and flap. You can talk about how you use this plastic tube to make the trunk, and the things that you learned about the trunk. You can look back on some of the writing you did and share that with your classmates. You can talk about the tail, the feet, the eyes, the trunk, the ears, the wrinkly skin. There are so many things that you learned about that you can share in your final presentations. What are you going to say about your elephant sculpture? I hope this video has shown you how you can differentiate and teach the elephant sculpture project to a class of students with a wide range of learning levels and connect to the academics of English language arts. Once again, I am Molly Roth, Curriculum Specialist for CEI Meridian Professional Learning Program. I wish you all the best in implementing this project with your students. Thank you.